Welcome to the Oddschecker Cheltenham preview panel. This is the preview for the Thursday of Cheltenham. I'm joined by three expert guests: Tony Calvin, racing journalist and tipster, Oddschecker's very own tipster, Andy Holding, and Joe Chambers, who is racing manager for Susannah Ricci, crucially. So, first, before we get into it, just a quick plug for the Oddschecker campaign of the Cheltenham Festival with the IJF, the Injured Jockeys Fund. We are donating 5p for every bet over £1 placed during the week of Cheltenham on the Cheltenham Festival to the IJF. I've spent the last couple of weeks travelling around finding out more about the IJF, and even though I knew the good work they did, the importance they provide to current jockeys, to previous jockeys, to injured jockeys and to fit jockeys cannot be overestimated. So download the Oddschecker app, look at the quick bet facility on our website, because if you do place your bets through us, you'll be helping a fantastic cause to the sport that we all love. Into the Thursday now, and opening up with the JLT. Lost in Translation is the 130 favourite. Defi de Soy 7-2. Real Steel 7-1. Kill de Sart 10-1. Glen Forza unlikely to run the race, we think, but is currently 10-1. About 7-1. No run, no bet. Similar story for top of the game as well, and 16-1 bar really. Andy, I'll come to you first here. Interesting couple at the top end of the market. Are you looking there, or are you looking at some bigger prices for your value?
Well, again, I think just as a punter, you've got to have a bet in this race, whether you fancy something strong or not. Sometimes races just kind of like force you to, because you just know there's an edge or there's an angle. Again, it's another race I think will cut up quite badly. You've only got to look down the list. Half of these are not going to run. Glen Force at the top of the game, Vindication, Kalashnikov, Delta Work, Hardline, Meglicon will probably go Arkle, Champagne Classic, Privagaluna, Driver's Loan. I mean, the list goes on and on. So we're only going to get a small field here. So the value is definitely to have a bet now, particularly if you can secure something from an each-way perspective. Obviously, you know, it's 1-1 between Lost in Translation and Defi de Soy in their match head-to-heads. Defi de Soy was probably delivered too soon at the Cheltenham meeting, and Lost in Translation on that long run-in was able to re-rally, and his extra stamina came into play, and then Geraghty did his homework and dive-bombed Richard Johnson on Colin Tizard's charge at Sandown. So it's a very difficult balancing act between the two. There are obviously not much between them. The way the race will develop and how the tactics will pan out will be the significant outcome, factor in the outcome between those two. I wouldn't have a definitive view on who's the better horse out of the two. I think Lost in Translation, if I was having my life on one of those two, but, you know, running up to his very best form at this track, I'd probably go Lost in Translation, just because I think the hill suits him better than Defi de Soy. But that, you know, doesn't mean to say I think the other one, you know, can't operate. But away from those front two in the market, I think the bet in the race, as it stands, as I said, with all those defections, has got to be Kill de Sart, Ben Paulin's horse. He's guaranteed to run. That's one.
Half the battle.
Barring, you know, obviously something going completely wrong. And the form of that Cheltenham race, which he won on trials day, has worked out really well. The time figure was good. They went a good solid pace. I actually backed the horse that made the running that day, Highway 101. Still can't believe he didn't win. I've never known a horse jump so badly and yet still win a race as easily as he did. He made error after error after error. Oddschecker, whether he just couldn't see a stride or not, I don't know, but he put down on virtually every single fence. He should not have won that race. He gave up that much energy. You look at Dentley de May, was fourth, ran really well at Exeter. First Drift, who was seventh, got beat 39 lengths, won a handicap hurdle. And even Azerti, who was going well at the time, coming down the hill, he won at Ludlow the other day. So that race has worked out well. He was 5.8 seconds quicker than Frodon on the last circuit, which is around about 25 lengths. So inadvertently, they were gutted that performance kicked him out the Close Brothers, but it now means that he's got a really big chance of winning the JLT, which is obviously a grade one.
And when the race cuts up, you assume that 10-1 will be a thing of...
Yeah, and I think the small field will help his jumping as well. You know, if there was 15 runners or whatever, then that'd be a concern. And it still is, but because he's the only course and distance winner in the field, and he's clocked a very good time around there, I'll be very keen on him 10-1 each way.
Tony?
Yeah, concur. I think it's probably, at the current prices here and now, I think it's probably one of the bets of Thursday. I think 10-1, no bet. Obviously, we got injury factored in the next week or so that's always a good safety net, and that's a top price as well. That's with Bet365, who also offer, and it's not really flagged up a lot. They do bet a quarter of the odds instead of the fifth. So, you know, that's a fair concession as well. The race just outside the front two, I think you can get 11 to 8 if you fancy one of combine the top two. So that may well interest you. But like I said, the race is just full of probable non-runners. Kildesart's going to go there. It's not massively shy of them on form. It's got course form. It's got a lot going for it. Kildesart at 10 to 1 each way. A third, the first four. It's the fifth, the quarter of the odds. Kildesart basically.
We're going to get the clean sweep here.
No. On good ground, I'd really fancy Lost in Translation. I think he is somewhat ground dependent in that he's that much better on better ground. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes during the week. Whereas and Defi Desai is not averse to softer ground. I think the front two in the market are very solid, but as the lads have said, beyond that, there isn't a huge amount of depth. I think whatever Willie runs will go well. Real Steel is in there, Prava Laguna is in there. We've got Chameleon Cot. I'd say she's more likely than not to run here. I don't think there's a huge amount of pace in the race, so she could actually get her own way in front, and that might suit her. Be delighted if she came in the first four. I don't think for a minute she's up to beating either of the front two in the market. I think it'd be ground dependent, would sway me towards Defi or Lost in Translation.
How would you price up coming here for this race, JLT?
I'd be favouring over the Arkle, yeah. I can't see us going the handicap. I don't see the merit in going for a handicap when you're already a few pounds wrong. You don't get your 7, and it's a much deeper and competitive field than what the graded races look like.
You probably recommend people taking the 25s all in rather than the 16s on.
Yeah, I'd say so. And I think if we ran in the Arkle, there's so much pace in it that she'd probably sulk.
And there's as short as 12 to 1 elsewhere. So that 25 to 1 with Hills given, Joe telling us that it's more than likely that she'll run there. Seems like some decent value, even if he would be delighted if she finishes in the 4.
It's quite frightening how much this race could cut,
That's
isn't
what I'm
it?
saying. It's just
There might like Willie could have half the field here if you wanted.
Yeah.
If he
Yeah.
in a way, I don't mean that facetiously, but you could make a case for running Duke de Genève, Real Steel, Chameleon Cot, Prava Laguna, all of them to run here, and that could be 4 of 9 or 10.
Normally, if you bet anti-post, you are literally giving up an extra place that you normally get on the day. Here you could be getting the extra place. It could easily be 7 or less runners.
Is that for those of you who don't understand how place terms work? Currently 3 places, and if you back them now each way, despite the fact the bet's cutting up, because it's anti-post, if there are less than 8 runners, you will still get your 3 places. So this is probably a race not to wait for the day, because you could suddenly be backing Kildesart at. Andy looks very confused.
Yeah, so no.
Because you could be backing Kildesart at a shorter price and only getting the two spots.
I was going to say there was only 7 runners in the race last year, but I was getting confused with the Balco Flow race, the Ryanair.
I thought I got my place terms wrong, but
which is another race which I think will cut up quite considerably.
On now to the Potemps. Side of Burley is 7 to 1 favourite. First assignment 11 to 1. Samburu Shuja 12 to 1. Aaron Ladd 14 to 1. Walk to Freedom 14 to 1. 16 to 1 bar. And Joe sitting to my left told us just before we came on air that his nap for the day is in this race, so we'll come to you first.
Week. I could be way wrong here, but indulge me for a moment.
Or 5 minutes.
Yeah, not what I am of Dan Skelton's. Came from Adrian Keatley's in Ireland, had his first run for him, I think, in early October at Uttoxeter, where it was just under 3 miles, and he won off of 1:22. He then went to I think it was the October meeting at Cheltenham, where I think he'd have been 3rd at worst behind the Mighty Dawn when he fell 2 out. That was off 1:28. He then went back to Uttoxeter and won again. Got put up another 7 to 1:35, where he ran at Aintree in December, where he was a respectful 3rd to Midnight Shadow and Chittibello over an inadequate 2.5 miles. Midnight Shadow subsequently came out and won the Relkeel, I think it was, on New Year's Day. And Chittibello seems to be showing some sign of resurgence. He could be a live player in the county on the Friday. He then ran at Warwick the day OK Corral ran, and I can't remember Warren Greatrex's horse that won the Pretemps trial that day. But to say he was eye-catching would be an understatement, given how wide, no cover, and out the back he was. I think he finished 4th or 5th, and he's left on the same mark. I think he's going to get into the race. He'll probably get in towards the bottom. And I like Dan Skelton's got a decent record at targeting these handicap hurdles from fair ways out. And I could be completely wrong, but I think I've got a good bit of 33s about him for the race, and I think if he lines up, he'll take a fair bit of whacking.
25 to 1, he is currently best priced, and that's with Sporting Bet, and it is no run, no bet there as well. No run, no bet. So, if you shop around, you can get the value there. Not What I Am is Joe Chambers' nap of the week in the Pertemps. Tony, how are you looking at this one?
Not What I Am, after listening to that. That was quite a convincing case. Yeah, I saw that Warwick run over the weekend, actually, and it was promising, to say the least.
Ran a lovely trial.
Yeah, it did, yeah. Like I said, I think that could be, that 25s and 20s could well be under pressure. And again, just looking at the exchange price, not a great deal of money, but you've got money queuing up to back it around about the 25 to 1 mark and less, so like I say, that might be under pressure. The one I looked at, I mean, I haven't had a great look at the race. Again, this is the kind of race I tend to look at the overnight stage or the 48-hour stage, which is a godsend for people like us if you want to get a head start on the week. I quite like Sykes, course form, good win at Haydock last time. Didn't go up that much, I think he went up £4 for that. I can see Sykes running quite well, but no massive opinion at the present moment.
Interesting to see Atois Phil, a sea of blue on Oddschecker, on a sliding mark down now to about 144, beaten 29 lengths, 10 lengths, 27 lengths, pulled up 13 lengths and 12 lengths for Gordon Elliott. So someone there getting involved this morning.
I don't think they've invented the headgear he'd need in order to be
I think the trainer's given a couple of interviews in the last couple of days, so that could be why that price is going. Andy, what are you looking at?
Yeah, I've backed a couple in this race at big prices, anti-post. Similar to Joe, I was very taken by the Pertemps qualifier at Leopardstown, which often throws up the winner for this race. I think Glenlow ran eye-catchingly in the race last year and finished second, and lucky second to Delta Work. And Sir de Burley was one that very much caught the eye. He went out into that last circuit last, the first 6 home, of course, after qualifying. Oh, and he luckily just sneaked into 6th. But in doing so, and this is the amazing thing, I clocked, there was 2 races over 3 miles. The other one was won by Apples Jade, of course, won the Grade 1. Apples Jade ran 3:02.4 for the circuit when they went past. They jumped the one away from the stands to the line. 3:02.4. Sire de Burley, in coming from last to 6, ran 3:01.9. So he actually beat a Grade 1 hurdle on the last circuit. So he's obviously operated at a very fast level by beating 25 odd horses to finish 6th. Not knocked about either, by the way. And he's been the gamble ever since. I think he was 20s when the book opened.
Did Thermostocles qualify in that race as well? Joseph's.
Thermostocles has that finished 3rd, hasn't run since either. That's another one to mention. But he was further up the field. The 2 big eye catchers on the numbers where they started going away from. The other one was Walk to Freedom. Again, another astonishing run. He actually ran the quickest of the circuit times. He ran 3:01.7. So he's just slightly quicker than Sir de Burley. He was just slightly ahead of Sir de Burley, but made up the more ground in the back part of the race. Unfortunately, the handicappers absolutely massacred him. He's gone up. I think he's gone up £8 for just sitting in his box. He's now carrying 11 stone 10, which is a little bit of a worry.
Is that Jessie again?
It's Jessica Harrington, yeah. I know she's probably going to be crucifying the handicapper. That would be a slight concern because I don't think that's fully deserved. But that was available back at 33 to 1. So I've backed these 2 at big prices. They're now obviously trading much shorter, so I'll be comfortable in that position I'm in. I'll take Joe's views on board. That's a really good spot with the Dan Skelton horse. And the first assignment's another one to mention as well. Nick Ian Williams. That yard could be going through a bit better form. They just all of a sudden hit the buffers for some reason. But if you look at that Paisley Park run, he got beaten a length and 3/4 by Paisley Park, and Shades of Midnight was second. It took a genius to work out that Paisley Park's now a Grade 1 horse, and Shades of Midnight won a Grade 2 when he went back there next time. So strictly on that form, off a mark of 135, he was up against a horse rated in the 160s. He's got to have a big chance, and he's run really well twice at Cheltenham this year when he won by 9 lengths in November, and of course he won that 20 runner at field and beat Vive Le Roy. So he's definitely one to consider, but
he was backing up at Haydock after winning at Cheltenham as
well. That's
right,
yeah, he was.
They 7 days under
they had to run him again under a penalty. So But he's had 61 days off now. He's qualified. It's like I say, if that yard, that Ian Williams yard, if his horses start running well in the sort of 8 days in the build to the festival, I'd certainly be having a keen interest in him.
Just one point before we move on, it's a quick one as well. How time consuming is it to keep your own speed figures?
Incredibly.
It pays though.
Yeah, I mean, luckily I've got 2 other guys that help me with crunching the actual overall figures. They've got the program that we use, which gives me.
Oh, so it's a lot. Is some of it automated?
Yeah, a lot of it's just basically we put the overall time in against the standard times that we've got, and it basically spews out the number that they do. But I go back and do the sectionals, like, you know, from. That's the laborious part of it, is doing the circuit times then from 2 out and then going back and doing another one as well. Like with that Sir de Burley and Walk to Freedom, I've had to go back and do one individually, and then I've had to go back and do another one. So that's when it does become time consuming. But it throws up, you know, really good nuggets, and it gives me a little bit of an edge that nobody else has looked for. Yeah,
well, certainly some good darts there for the attempts, and kind of 4 or 5 to choose from between the 3 guys here. So I'll leave it to the listeners to decide who made the most compelling case for their attempts tip. Onto the Ryanair chase now. Monolith and Footpad are joint favourites at 5 to 1. Anyone who hasn't yet listened to the Wednesday podcast, Joe sitting to my left said no decision yet made on Min, who's currently 6 to 1 without non-run no bet, and about 7 to 2 with that insurance. Froden 8 to 1, Underso 9 to 1, Road to Respect 12 to 1, Top Notch 12 to 1, Fox Norton 14 to 1, Albion Photo 14 to 1, 16 to 1 bar. Tony, I'll come straight to you first here. How are you assessing this one?
Very difficult. If you look at the exchange at the moment, Footpad is now the clear favourite. So I think we can be pretty sure Footpad's coming here. It just looks a very, very messy market to me. Saying Footpad's coming here looks like Frodon's definitely coming here and not the Gold Cup. My initial impression is Monolith's the horse to beat, but again, for some reason they're making noises about, you know, the Gold Cup hasn't been ruled out. The betting suggests otherwise again. I just think it's a really, really difficult race, you know, to work out at this stage. Top Notch has been very, very weak in the last 24 hours or so. There was some talk about maybe they're looking with Footpad in the race, maybe they'll be going towards the Stayers for that. But if you look at the Stayers price on Betfair at the moment, it's 60 to back as well for the Stayers. So Top Notch would have been on my radar, but its weakness does worry me. And interesting point about Top Notch, it's had to have a vaccination, a flu vac. It reacted very badly to his one early in the season.
It's a different one though. It wasn't even the same.
That was
a different one, but yeah.
That would be a concern, and they just said it really did knock the stuffing out of him early in the season when he had it early in the season. So, in summary, I really haven't got a strong opinion, and hopefully the 2 other lads would have a better handle on this race than I am.
You can normally rely on Andy for an opinion, so Andy.
Yeah, I'm not shrinking violet.
No, you're a betting junkie.
Absolutely, yeah.
Responsible gambling,
of course. I think again this is another race to have a good look at, because as we touched upon, there's not going to be that many runners. I think there's only 7 in it last year. It's almost as if, you know, everyone doesn't want to run in this race. They want to run in the Gold Cup or the Champion Chase. I mean, this is a good Grade 1 to win. It's a Cheltenham Festival race for crying out loud.
I found very strange about the Froden conversation is people talk about the Ryanair as if it's a kind of a Mickey Mouse race.
Like, let's be honest. If Monolith runs in the Gold Cup, he's a 33 to 1 shot. He doesn't stay. Yeah. And you know, Froden, as well as he won last time in the Cotswold Chase, he also would be a 25 to 1 shot. So just the mathematics of it say you've got to run in the best race where you can win. And I'd find it amazing if either one didn't run here, particularly Monolith. They've been putting a square peg in a round hole with that for so long, running over 3 miles. He didn't get home in the Albert Bartlett. They still pursued with it. He didn't get home again in the RSA, and they still keep running him over 3 miles. He didn't stay behind Kenboy in a slowly run race at Leopardstown. The time when they've run him over 2.5 miles, he looked a totally different unit. When he won the Red Mills last time out at Gower, and he was very good. They popped him off in front. He got into a lovely rhythm. He jumped his fences fantastically. He was always in control as well that day. His time figure was good. He ran quicker than Duke did in Eva on the last circuit, so he was operating at a good level. I've always had a massive amount of respect for Monolith, but my kind of patience has run out with him because they keep running him over 3 miles. But now they're running him. If they do run him over 2.5, I think it'd be very difficult to beat in this. So Monolith for me.
Monolith at 5 to 1. Joe.
I think Andy's covered off the Monolly angle. I would just say, very unlike Willie to be as bullish as he was about Footpad, about a horse who's had his own issues this season and been beaten twice, but he was unusually bullish, I thought, in his comments last week. As I said earlier, I think Min is probably a better 2-miler than 2.5-miler. Noel Meade said yesterday that Road to Respect may come back to the Ryanair from the Gold Cup, which throws another different angle in there. He's also got 2A Permy, whose form when he won the Troy Town has worked out really well, and he subsequently won the race at the Kinloch Bray, I think it was, at Thurles. It's a little bit difficult to know who's actually going to line up in the day, and that's then going to lead into what sort of shape the race is going to take. One horse who's probably a big price, but I think he'll be a similar price on the day, is the Storyteller. He won the plate over this course and distance on the same day last year off a mark of 147. He's now 160, and while his form tailed off a bit, he jumped and travelled really, really well, I thought, the last day behind Bell's Hill and Road to Respect over 3 miles. And he was only beaten 7 lengths in the end. He's now off 160, and I could just see him. He might need a bit of better ground, but I could just see him running a big race if he did line up.
So the Storyteller currently is 25-1. That's with Labrooks, Coral, who both have non-run no bet as well, but we'd expect them to get there. And as Joe said, could be a price on the day.
Just one final thing there. If Balco de Flo turns up in the same heart that he was last year, he'd win, would he?
He would, but geez, he hasn't been a first cousin of it ever since. I mean, he was dire in the Melling when Min and Politolog ran. I don't know.
If he could get him back.
His back form, absolutely, yeah.
But he's 20-1 plus.
He's been nearly one of the most disappointing horses of the season.
And
I
he's
think
16-1. I mean, I think the plan is to go there, but I mean, how impressive was he last year?
I know, he was awesome, yeah. I mean, look, if it cuts up, if the ground is soft, on the sole, you could throw him in there.
16-1 Balco de Flo with Hills and Betfair Sportsbook. The stayers now, where Paisley Park for Emma Lavelle is the favourite at 15-8. Faheen 5-1. Super Sunday 8-1. Apples Jade 14-1. But I mean, we don't expect any of these, or Samco as well 14-1 without no bet. Unlikely we're going to see either of those two turn up here. You would have thought, although there has been murmurs about Samco, but we're yet to know what the plans are there. Black Up 14-1 as well. Kilbrecken Storm 16-1, 20-1 bar. And let's start with Faheen. Is he in good order?
Great form. Yeah, he's in
big
great order.
Anyone who's listening to this rather than watching, Joe's got a big smile on his face right now.
He's a touchwood. He's in great order. Look, he's probably where he should be price wise, I think, at the moment, because if he had stood up the last day against Apples Jade, and I'm not. Let's say he didn't even win. If he was beaten 3 or 4 lengths, there's no way he'd have been 10-12-1 that he was last week for this, just in light of what Apples Jade has done since. But he's in. It took him a while to get over it, but he's absolutely he's in good order at home, and maybe it's the heart rule in the head. But I'll tell you what, if he. I doubt I'll see the remaining 3 races on the card if he managed to rock up in the stairs.
Well, that's two unbelievably popular horses topping this market as well.
Yeah, and I think, look, the Paisley Park story is brilliant. And he does look an absolute weapon, and he's ideal, travelling behind the bridle and just quickening up.
If he had the same trainer as Faheen, if Willie was training him, what price would he be for this, do you think?
He'd probably still be favoured, but Emma's had a couple of winners at Cheltenham herself, and they've always had huge belief in this horse, even when he was a bumper horse, and they've managed to get him back. But we're still rated a pound higher than him in official ratings. He's obviously the horse coming forward, and we might be going for one last hurrah, but we don't have a huge amount of mileage on the clock either over the last 3 years for various reasons. But put it this way, Paisley Park's going to have to run into the 70s, I'd say, to beat us.
Tony?
I put up Faheen at 12s and 10s, week before last. He just looked overpriced. I mean, obviously we've lost Penhill since, so the market's come in the favour, and obviously we don't know about Samcro. Samcro works on Tuesday, so we'll know more about that, but he'll take a leap of faith to be back in that horse at the current prices, given his run up to the race. Super Sunday, again, we don't know where that's going to go. I wouldn't be getting involved at 5 with Faheen now. He maybe wait till the day, but I just echo everything that Joe said. I mean, you know, the horse is clearly getting on, and he's meeting a very progressive and a very, very good horse in Paisley Park. But the official ratings tell you the story. I was amazed. Sometimes you just think of horses as a 2-miler, don't you? But you know, when I was doing the piece, look back, Faheen's record over 3 miles is, you know, without that forward, it's exemplary. And I just think like he was just insultingly big price at double figure odds. 5 to 1 he's probably not going to shorten a great deal now. But Pound's interesting as well. If you're looking for one at a bigger price, sure, but Pound wouldn't be 25 to 1 wouldn't be out of it.
Well, a good run from Limini in the mare's race on Tuesday will give you encouragement as well. He's a real spring horse. I think he might be better on better ground, and he seems to love O'Toy for some reason, which you won't get any complaints from this corner about liking a place that throws on the prize money that they do. But he's he was good. I thought he was good the last day in the. He did get a very good ride as well. I thought Paul was very canny on him. Just one thing as well, back to Faheen. Andy got me thinking earlier on when he was chatting about the Champion Hurdle and Charlie Parks last year. When we put cheek pieces on him in the Champion Hurdle last year, and just 2 things. When Ruby came in after, and he was 6th or 7th, whatever he was, and he just pointed at the cheek pieces. He says they did absolutely nothing anyway. He said, and the horse is absolutely fine. He just doesn't have the pace for 2 miles anymore. Go out and trip. He said, and we'll see a different. He was the one that was most bullish going into Punchestown last year out of everybody, just because he felt that ability was still there. Just with age, he was getting a bit slower.
Do you find Ruby is a very, very good judge of them at home?
David Casey's better.
Right. Just 2 things to sign off before Andy has to go. The horse for money recently has been Bacardi's, making that really well. And coming back to Paisley Park again, if he was trained by one of the no disrespect to Emma, if he was trained by one of the premier ones, he wouldn't be any bigger than 5 to 4.
Yeah, I agree.
But
you want Fowler insurance with Bacardi's.
So there you have it. Some positive words about Faheen and a couple of fancies as well for the race. On now to the Brown Advisory Plate. This is, again, one I'll rattle through the odds and I'll put it to the floor to see if any of you guys have any fancies here. Spirit of the Lac is the 12 to 1 favourite, and that is with no bet as well. Spirit of the Game is 14 to 1. Happy Diva 16 to 1. Janika, who we spoke about on one of the other podcasts, at 16 to 1. Magic Saint 20 to 1. Leprezian 20 to 1. Plenty of horses also at 20 to 1. Andy, coming to you first here.
There certainly wouldn't be a better jumper in the field than Spirit of the Lac. I mean, he's just been exemplary, hasn't he? He's been deadly. He's a lot of water over his fences, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's won around the track as well, so that's obviously got to be encouraging. You'd certainly get a good look with regards to the form line with Spirit of the Games if Kildesart was to go well in the JLT, because Spirit of the Games potentially could ship up here off a pretty reasonable mark of 147. He's run against some fairly good top novices this season, and he just seems to be improving at the right time. He was a good 5th in the county hurdle last year as well, behind Moyed, so he's got Cheltenham Festival experience in a big field, and he seems to jump well. And the Skelton team seems to be in really good form at the moment, and he's pretty impervious to ground as well, so if you're having an anti-post bet, it wouldn't worry you too much with him. The other one would be Happy Diva. She obviously unseated rider down the back. It wasn't a fall, just unsighted at the ditch. Any horse could have done that, and actually went round and actually completed the race in front. So I actually did cover 2.5 miles. I've had a nice little prep run there without a jockey on. But obviously we'll come here now because it technically didn't have a race as such.
Yeah.
So she'd also be very interesting, particularly she beat Magic of Light very easily the time before in a listed race at Huntingdon. So those would be my 2 against the field: Spirit of Games and Happy Diva.
Tony, anything for you?
When I was re-looking for all the cards yesterday in preparation for this, I came across Calondra at 25, so I've had a little bit each way, and obviously you're taking your life into your hands there with the jumping, but I think in terms of raw ability, I think a mark of 147 probably underplays his talent. We haven't seen him since Haydock He was unseated in the Bet Victor the week before that. At Haydock last time, and that was back in November, it was the day where they said the fences were overly big and he just ballooned them all there. But even before that, he was a massive drifter before that race, and maybe they put him in there just to get him around as a confidence booster. Clearly, things haven't probably gone to plan since then, but if you go back and look at his form in Kustar Civilar over the course, and a good third to Traffic the Weed where last April where he got there too soon, I think he's reasonably well handicapped. What might give me some encouragement, and actually a fair bit of encouragement, the Nilmont Holland Yard has really, picked up in recent weeks. I think they've had 5 or 6 winners in the last fortnight or so after a real barren spell for the yard. So I think Calandra's got the ability there, and I think 25s is probably fair, but I certainly haven't gone mad, and he's just one that came on my radar yesterday.
Calandra 25-1 with William Hill and Betfair Sportsbook, but also with no bet with Betfred. So if you are backing that one there, that could be the way to do it. Joe?
No real view. We got Live Love Laugh in here. He'll get into the race. He's in the top 30 at the moment, but he might be more likely to run in a race we'll speak about in about 4.5 minutes' time.
Okay, so if you're going to be backing Live Love Laugh here, maybe avoid the 20s with Hills and Betfair without the no bet. On to the mares' novices now, and a very hot favourite here, Epatante, who I'm not sure if Nicky Henderson forgot about Altior when he said over the weekend that this was his best chance of the festival. Honeysuckle 7-2, Posh Trish 15-2, Senora 12-1, 16-1 bar. This Epatante looks like a very, very exciting horse. Obviously, we saw in Lorena last year, the winner of this race, who's gone on, and we'll see how good exactly she is. But at 5-2, given that Lorena went off at kind of 4-6 against possibly a weaker field, Tony, do you think there's any juice left in that 5-2?
I think she'll be hard to beat. I clearly think the absolute world of her. Obviously very keen, and that could well be a factor, but it doesn't look a particularly strong race. You've got Honeysuckle in there, the second fav. It's not a race I've gone into in a great deal of depth. It's one I'll leave to the overnight stage, to be perfectly honest with you. But if you're looking for stable confidence, then I think they've got it with Epatante, that's for sure.
It's been a much maligned addition to the Cheltenham Festival, and I know Willie has won all 3 and we've won 2 of the 3 editions. But I think this is a belter of a race this year. I think it's really, really good. All the main horses at the top of the betting, apart from Epatante, shape as though further than 2 miles is going to be their best trip. But that being said, Limini, Let's Dance, and arguably Lorena, you might say, are all going to be best, or were all best, or are all best over 2.5 miles anyway. I think there's going to be loads of pace. I think Paul Webber's mare, who I don't think she'll be good enough, but I think she's very good in her own right. Her name escapes me and I can't pronounce it anyway. That's the one, yeah.
Indefatigable.
Yes, that'll make sure it's a good test.
25-1.
Stuart Edmonds' the horse is there as well, Queen of Hearts. I think there's going to be a Honeysuckle and Sonoria there. One of them is likely to run. I think there's likely to be loads of pace. I think it's quite interesting. Just one of the little angles on this is, as a result of some of the mares being entered in the handicaps. Posh Trish is 145 with the UK handicapper. Epatante is 143. Honeysuckle is 138 in Ireland. She's been given 142. Sonoria is 135 in Ireland. She's been given 142. Salsaretta is 137 in Ireland, and she's been given 141. Now, all of them, Posh Trish, Honeysuckle and Sonoria, are all down to carry 11.7. Epatante and Salsaretta both get £5. I think Salsaretta is 16s in some places or something like that.
20-1 with Hills.
Yeah,
that's without the insurance.
I'd say we're more than likely to line up here. We're getting £5 from a couple of horses. We'll definitely stay. We'll appreciate a good test if it is. I just think she's a knock in each way bet. I'd be pretty gutted if she was knocked out of the places should she line up.
Interesting, strong words there from someone who'll know about Sorceretta. At 20-1 with William Hill, Joe Chambers, Mrs. Susannah Ricci's racing manager, talking about a Susannah Ricci horse there. Andy, coming to you now.
Yeah, for once, I'm not got a particularly strong view on this. I can't really add anything to what the lads have already said. Obviously, Epatante's looked really good on its 2 runs. Hasn't done a time figure yet, though, so I wouldn't really want to be backing it at 5-2. The best Irish horse on the numbers is Honeysuckle. Clock's a good.
She's good.
Yeah, clocked a very good time last time out. Very strong in all departments. Jumped well, went a good gallop. They were absolute punch drunk in behind them. She just kept galloping. She's the best one I've got on the clock anyway in Ireland. But yeah, not a race I've had a bet in, and it's probably one of the ones I might even sit out in the day, believe it or not.
I don't believe that for a second, Andy.
I should add, Salsaretta ticks a new box that I wasn't aware of. DeAndy Holding schooled around without a jockey and jumped very well. That I've just learned in the last 5 minutes.
The prep run that doesn't show up.
The prep run that doesn't show up.
Show up on the card,
there we go. On to the last race of the day on Thursday then, and it is the Kim Muir. It's a very apt favourite in my view. It's all guesswork at 10-1. Measure of My Dreams 11-1. Impulsive Star 14-1. The Name Escapes Me 14-1. Now McGinty 16-1. Sky Pirate 16-1. Very happy to be able to leave it to you guys to make sense of this one. So anyone here? Anyone got a view?
Yeah, I've had a couple of bets in this race. I've backed Measure of My Dreams.
I knew you were going to say that.
I know.
Did you get 33s or 25s?
I didn't. I only got 20. I'm afraid. I didn't get the big prices.
Everybody.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I marked it off the day when it ran at Fairyhouse the other day. Ran behind a horse called Snugsbury Benny, who I think's a really good improving type.
Liam
Cusack. He'll win a good pot one day, maybe a Galway Chase or something like that. He can operate. But this Measure of My Dreams has given a really nice introduction back to his first one off the back of a 667-day layoff. And Jack Kennedy really did look after him that day, and he ran on and he got beat 6 lengths. I didn't realise he was Kim Muir bound. It didn't even come on my radar, but somebody told me that it had been laid out for the race and I needed to back it.
He's owned by Gordon's mates.
Yeah.
So Jamie Codd's probably 101 to ride him, I'd say.
He's been booked a while.
Has he?
Yeah, and that's probably why it collapsed as well. I think he's also one of those rarities as well, an Irish horse that's running off his Irish mark.
Yes, that's
of
right.
137.
The one thing
That's the only one I could find actually.
The one thing I would say with Measure of My Dreams, going back and look at his career record, he's not the best of jumpers. He used to give me heart attacks watching him. I mean, he has run well in some good races. He was third to Manila Rocco in the 4 mile. But he sometimes he looks as though he's gone into a fence blindfolded. So it's a good job they've got a good pilot on him, and I think he probably needs to check his life insurance policy before he goes
He's
out.
one of those ones that looked too good to be true, wasn't he? He was 33s, 25s, and then there was the vibes were suggesting that Jamie was going to be booked. And then when he came down to about 12s and 10s, and then they announced that Jamie's riding him. So well executed so far, anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. The other thing to point out as well, and I don't know the inside track, and there's a good chance that Derek O'Connor will be maybe booked for one of the big Irish shows. But Kilfillan Cross is the other one. I mean, the biggest indicator that OK Corral was going to run in the 4 mile was the fact that Derek O'Connor was brought over on a Saturday when there was an Irish meeting to ride OK Corral in that 3 mile chase, and then they're nominated afterwards. He's running the national chase with Derek O'Connor on board. Ludlow on a Wednesday, Kilfillan Cross gets booked by Derek O'Connor, lands a gamble, clocked a fantastic time. Funny enough, the horse that runs 5th in that race today is the first horse to run out of it. Also, I've napped one of Christian Williams' horse. Drops down 2 grades to run in a Class 5 chase.
After that run, so we'll have to cut it out.
Long way from Wales to Fakenham.
If that doesn't win, then we're in trouble. But this Kilfillan Cross, despite jumping out to the left and being hassled for the lead all the way through it by Ulan Boot, still managed to run some incredible numbers.
Yeah.
It battered the 2 mile handicap chase on the card, the 2.5 mile race won by Azerti. I mean, they were operating at a very good level, and he also ran well at the time before in a race which has worked out well at Utoxeter. I think he was 4th in a hot race there. Now McGinty was in it. He looks like getting in. He's 31 on the card, and Henry Oliver's had a really good season as well. He's with
fairly sure Derek won his point-to-point in him as well.
Right.
Rode him when he won his point.
So unless there's an Irish trainer that's got locked into Derek O'Connor and he can't get out of that contract, if he rides Kilfillan Cross, that 25 to 1, which is available at the moment,
20 to 1 best price,
will last about as long as a Sunday roast in a piranha tank.
Ulan Boot was disappointing next time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think he bounced off the back of that run. I think he put so much effort into that race trying to keep up with Kilfillan Cross that he went back to Ludlow and was just literally punch drunk.
Yeah.
So Kilfillan Cross 20 to 1, and Measure of My Dreams 11 to 1 best price with Red Zone. Red Zone Sports. If you've got a Red Zone account, that could be the one to open
He
it
definitely didn't want to go right-handed that day as well. He'd be better off going left-handed.
Joe, let's talk about Live, Love, Laugh, who you suggested is likely to turn up here.
Yeah. He ran really well at Leopardstown in a handicap chase, as I said earlier. I think it'll work out. And I think we're probably a bit lucky in terms of the UK handicapper that we had the national entry, because we got 144 at Aintree and we're in off 144. We're now rated 140 in Ireland. That handicap chase already beginning to work out. Willie is adamant he has to go out and trip. He's certainly bred to. He might prefer a bit of decent ground, but I know Patrick is bursting to ride him in the Kim Muir. I don't think we're going to stop him if that's where he wants to go. And he worked extremely well on Saturday morning, so he's in good form. So yeah, he just seems to be a horse that's coming of age and coming right at the right time, and he's bred to be a staying chaser. And I think this is a race that kind of cuts up an awful lot in terms of jockeys as well. So we'll see, but if I think we're probably leaning towards running him here, and if we did, and the ground wasn't bottomless, which I don't think it will be on the Thursday, I'd be fairly sweet on his chances, to be honest with you. One I'd give a shout to is one that Patrick fell off at November of John Joe Neal's at Sky Pirate. Don't think he's going to get in. I think he's in the 50s or the 60s, I think, at the moment. I can't remember exactly. But he seems a horse just to keep an eye on in general, for a staying handicap chase in the near future.
So Sky Pirate 16 to 1 at the moment. And,
Patrick did mention him as well. I did a panel with him last week, and he said he was
travelling that day.
He said he was travelling very strong on that Sky Pirate when he went.
And Live, Love, Laugh currently 20 to 1 with Betfair Sportsbook best price. Tony, what are you making of this one, of the Kim Muir, just before we wrap up?
Nothing really. Measuring My Dreams would have been it's so obvious, but the price has pretty much gone now. It might well be one that I will consider on the day, but when you get the extra places.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sulking for not getting the bigger price.
Currently four places across the market, except for Hills and Paddy's, who are a fifth, the top five. So yeah, Tony, I'll come to you first. What's your nap for Thursday?
I do like Faheen, but the price has gone there. So at the current prices, I'm going to chance Colondra in the brown. You can either take 25 to 1, no one I know better. It would bet Fred, but actually that's literally just gone. Actually, it wasn't me. You still can get 25s, but Colondra 20 to 1, Paddy Power, no one I know better, because they give you an extra place. They're going 5 places.
Perfect.
So Colondra 5 places, Paddy Power 20s for the brown Maribor.
Andy.
Yeah, I never got a chance to talk about the Stayers Hurdle at length, but Paisley Park would be my strongest bet on the day, and strongest bet of the whole meeting. I think
tell us briefly now, yeah. Just tell us.
Yeah, he's just in a different class to everything else.
What price do you reckon he should be? Odds on?
Possibly. There is a case to make out he should be odds on. He's beaten the best that we've got to offer. Obviously, Faheen, if he's back to his absolute best when he won at Punchestown, then he's got to be respected. But he'd have to be the Faheen of old to beat.
Out of interest, where does Paisley Park rank figures-wise with you versus Thistlecrack when he was in his pump when he won the Stayers?
Yeah, easily the pick of him. Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah,
really?
yeah. I mean, he basically ran the last circuit quicker than Fakir Dudaris, Birchdale without coming off the bridle, and he also did that as well when on rain softened ground. The ground got gradually worse. He should have been going slower than 2 milers anyway.
Yeah.
But he was quicker than those two, and the ground was at its softest by race 5.
Better than Thistlecrack. I think
That's
the stopwatch is broken.
We'll soon see.
Yeah, 15 to 8 is best price for 365.
I think he's a fair tool. Yeah. He's the best I've seen for a long, long time.
Joe?
Not what I am for Temps.
Not what I am for the Potential Bet of the Week, you said as well.
Bet of the Week.
So there you have it. Those are the naps of the week for our 3 expert panellists. And that brings Thursday to a close. Obviously, we're doing these videos and these podcasts for each day. So if you've just listened to this one first, you'll be able to find the other editions for Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday, both on all podcast stations and also on YouTube if you want to watch the videos as well. Thank you very much to my guests for taking us through the card, and thank you guys for listening.